I'll say this. My dad and I were talking last night, and Spencer, I don't know what kind of belief system you have, but Dan and I are Christian. But my dad and I were talking, and he was talking about this idea of like persecution, like religious
Mm-hmm.
persecution.
Yeah.
And I was saying that here in America, in particular, I think there's a lot of people who have confused opposition for persecution. Opposition is not being persecuted. Like the fact that somebody disagrees with you and says, I don't want to hear that, I don't want you to, running into a brick wall is not the same thing as being persecuted and hunted down and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that idea that just shows that weakness of character and weakness of being able to deal with challenges. If somebody dares to say, "Hey, I don't like what you're doing," or "You're not good," or you run into any kind of opposition, you say, "Oh, well, they're attacking me,
Victimhood.
they're persecuting me."
Yeah,
You know,
I identify with that. Like, I'm also a Christ follower, and I feel like there's a lot, not just in the greater American culture, but I definitely feel like a lot of American Christianity is very, very soft right now,
mm-hmm.
very, very soft. And it's for that, and I think it's just because American Christians have it really good in this country, and we get bored,
Yeah,
and we want something to do, and we want to be entertained with something, even if it's with our own perils, I guess. And so we get super invested in these little stupid things that we think are like you said persecution when they're not. Like the dumb what was it, the red cups at Starbucks
Oh yeah.
a couple years ago. That is the
possibly.
dumbest thing to get upset about.
Yeah, how can you possibly feel like that is an actual persecution on against you as an individual?
And why are you expecting Starbucks to have Christ on their cups? Like, why are we doing
Exactly.
this? Like,
Yeah,
be
why would you
reasonable
ever
here,
think
guys.
that?
Yeah, like that's the one thing. It's like a lot of one of the big problems I have with a lot of like Christianity in here is even in the Bible we're expecting the world to act like us,
Mm-hmm.
and we
Yeah.
get upset that they're not. Like,
Well, either that or that mentality that they've got to defend God against everything. Like, how weak is God that He needs you to protect Him
yeah,
from
no, we don't.
Starbucks?
God doesn't like, and like I was listening to Dan's other episode with Steven about the
Mm-hmm.
He Gets Us thing. It was a
Yeah.
really great
Yeah.
episode. Like God doesn't need our they were saying validation to show
No.
how holy and great He is.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
why like how powerful do you think you are in American Christian culture that you think that God needs you to defend Him?
Right.
Don't. Like He doesn't. He doesn't need that.
Right.
You're like, Jesus is a ninth degree black belt.
Yes. Like I see stuff like the stupid God's Not Dead movies. Those are
Yeah.
the dumbest movies in the world. Like, could that not have gone somewhere else other than patting ourselves on the back saying, "Look how persecuted our children are in colleges"?
Now, have you
No,
seen
you should
Godzilla's
have.
Not Dead?
You should have equipped your children well enough that
Mm-hmm.
that stuff they can combat themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's on you as a parent. That's not on the college system.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand like there's a lot of the college system I disagree with, but we are supposed to equip and raise our children in a way that stuff won't bother them.
I agree, though, that sense of that we're supposed to be disciplining a generation and to be strong enough to stand on their own without us there to hold their hand
Mhm.
and protect them from everything and and try to and see that's why I don't get involved in the whole boycott culture of well we need to boycott this and we need to make sure that this doesn't ever make it to
Mm-hmm.
the television that they need to cancel this show and all this
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
This idea that we have to remove all of the offending voices to protect the kids, like that's dangerously close to communism.
well,
Like that's it's that idea of like, well, we need to control what they see, what they hear,
Mm-hmm.
so that nothing can possibly hurt them. Well, that you're setting them up for failure if they never face something that can hurt them.
well, I personally like even outside of that, I think it's just super condescending to do that. It's if you take something away from me that I can't choose to experience because you think it's going to hurt me, you are saying you are not smart enough to discern what this is.
Mm-hmm.
Like let me take that away from you. Like I was in a I was in probably my freshman year of college, and I remember I had an English teacher. This is before I went to Francis Marion, and he was talking about like he left a church because they were trying to get rid of the pornographic magazines at the convenience store next to them. He's like, you're telling me that I am not smart enough not to buy those, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it's not. They're like, let me take all of the let me take any sort of chance you have of creating discipline for yourself out of the equation, just so I can protect you in this way.
You're trying to change the world rather than change yourself.
Yeah, yeah, and that like let me tell you, like everybody wants to change the world, but the world's just made up of a bunch of people, guys. You've
Mm-hmm.
got to
Mm-hmm.
it's got to be a change within. I can't change everybody else around me.
Yeah, you can't
Well, and,
legislate
there's
it.
a reason why. There's a reason why God, when He leads the children of Israel into the promised land, there's a reason why the promised land is inhabited. And He says, all right, go in there and claim it. He doesn't clear it out for them. He says, go in there and fight.
Yeah.
I'm promising that I'll be there with you. I promise I'll give you the strength that you need to secure it, but go in there and fight for it. Go take it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it reminds me of the story of the Jesus healing the lame man. Like Jesus doesn't say, "Let me move your legs for you." No, he tells
Mhm.
you've got to get up and walk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get up and walk.
Yeah, get up and walk. It's on you.
that bed and walk away. Yeah, I think
Boy.
that's important. Boy, you better pick it up, boy. But no, it's an important thing that God doesn't need our help. He chooses to include us, but most of the time it's not because He is teaching us something about Himself. It's a lot of times He's showing us, look, you're capable of standing up. You're
Mm-hmm.
capable of walking. Yes, I provided you with what you need to be able to do that, but
Mm-hmm.
He tells Moses, lift up your staff and part the waters. Go do these things.
Mm-hmm.
I've empowered you, now go do these things. And that's
Yes.
where, raising children or anything else, you empower them and then you send them to
Yes.
Yeah.
go fight, go claim your
Yes.
You need to
promise.
be
Like, go get it.
You need to be raising your children to survive without you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.